guys, just doing a quick review for Morbius. So yeah, I know a lot of people don't really care about this movie, but I just wanted to give my thoughts on it and how I guess it's just a decent movie, but I feel like its biggest problem is that it's too serious and it kind of struggles to get to the point of what's actually going on in the story. There's just a lot of points where it's like that. So yeah, I'll just quickly give my thoughts on the movie. Then I'll just quickly go through spoilers as well because I just don't want this review to be too long, and I actually mean it this time. Yeah. So where do I start? So when the movie actually started and I was going through what Morbius has been through from his childhood, because he has like a disease that stops him from walking. He also has a friend that kind of has the same thing as him, and he kind of plans to someday, make something that will actually cure him. Yeah, because he's basically like he does seem like he's a good guy, and he wants to bring about a change on people who suffer from all these diseases that can't actually be cured, like for example cancer. He's trying to make cures to actually treat all these things, including what he has as well, that's stopping him from walking, him and his friend. And there's like a scene, well, I can't really say, yeah, those scenes anyway. I'll say that in the spoilers, yeah, but that's basically his goal throughout his life until he's older and he actually gets to the point where, he does, cure it himself, but there's also side effects where, he basically becomes kind of like a bat, and it kind of turns him into the character that we know from, I guess you could say, the 90s animated show. If you guys ever watched the 90s Spider-Man, Spider-Man the animated series, that's where I first met Morbius. And probably the only reason why I was interested in this movie at all, because I liked how they did Morbius in the animated TV show. I could see that he was a cool character, yeah. And it seems like it was gonna make him look a little bit more scary in the movie, but when I watched it, I was like, some of the CGI is a bit, yeah, it's a bit too much. Yeah, they kind of use too much CGI. Yeah, and about what I said before with the serious stuff, I feel like they go a bit too far. I was wanting a more serious Marvel movie, and this is made by Sony. Sony, they don't really make the best Marvel movies, especially if it's tied to Spider Man. I mean, the best one that they've made to this day is still the first Amazing Spider Man movie. I mean, that's not a brilliant movie, but it's still better than all the movies they've made afterwards. That's for damn sure. Without Marvel helping them, with No Way Home. Because No Way Home wouldn't have been that good if Marvel and then some of the old writers from the Toby times came to help. Because, yeah, it wouldn't have been that good if they didn't have that support. Like, if it was just Sony who was making that movie, yeah, it wouldn't have been as good. They would have messed it up somehow. And without having Sam Raimi too, yeah, definitely. They would have flopped somehow. It would have been like Spider-Man 3, but even worse, probably. Yeah, it would have been a mess. Because Spider-Man 3, you can kind of see the good stuff in there. It's just, it was stopped because of studio interference. They didn't really get to see, we didn't get to see Sam Raimi's full, you know, what he planned to do with Spider-Man 3. And I could tell it probably would have been the best Spider-Man movie if he actually got to, let it all out, what he wanted to do. With just Sandman and nothing to do with Venom, because Venom wasn't even supposed to be in the movie. But back to this movie, yeah. So here's the problem. There's basically no comedy in this movie at all. I mean, I'm happy that they're trying to go in a more serious route, but when you have Tyrese Gibson and he's not allowed to tell a joke for the whole movie, I'm just like, wow, just wow, not even like one joke, one or two. I mean, even Batman has like just a tiny bit of jokes because it's more of a serious movie compared to I mean, well, I mean, Batman's always been serious, but like I'm not saying like Batman and Robin, like not like that. Because the Dark Knight series, like he was serious in those as well. So it's just the only thing that wasn't serious was his voice. Because yeah, that voice is just a parody now. But yeah, yeah. So like I said, they just made the movie too serious, and to certain points it just got boring. Because for example, Batman, the latest one, that actually was boring in some moments, but I still enjoyed the movie. Yeah, it was definitely really enjoyable. I just wish it was shorter. For this movie, that's basically 90 minutes long. If you make a 90-minute movie boring, you've already failed the movie because it's only 90 minutes. There shouldn't be any slow moments in a 90-minute movie. It makes no sense because you've only got a limited time. Like that's close to like it's basically an hour, but with a few extra minutes, basically. So you're basically 1 hour and 30 minutes. And if you're able to not really, if you make a lot of the parts of the movie boring, you've just, I don't know. And that's kind of the problem with the movie. It's boring at parts, and that's bad because it's a 90-minute movie. Yeah, but I do enjoy some of the parts with the actual Morbius character. And this is probably the best, that this actor's done since I don't even know, because Joker, like a lot of people don't like him as Joker, like this actor, but he did better as Morbius. I just wish they kind of made the story a bit more better and just didn't do the cliche thing that they always do with these villains, make them more good than bad, like with Venom. I'm just happy that it's not like Venom where the whole character's a joke and it's nothing like Venom from the animated shows or the comics. That because I always say this, like the Venom we have right now isn't Venom. He's some other character. That's not Venom. Yeah. And I did like what they was doing with Morbius, but they got to a point where they just ruined it, and then they added this other villain, which I'll talk about in spoilers now. Yeah, I'm just gonna get into spoilers now in 3, 2, 1. All right, so I'm gonna talk about spoilers now. Where do I start? So basically, he has a friend who's also ill like him, but something happens where he nearly dies, but somehow I guess Morbius is able to fix the machine, and at this time he was just a kid. Like both of them was just kids, and he was able to fix a machine that even proper engineers struggled to do, like build and stuff, and he just fixed it just like that. So he kind of got recruited into something where he'll basically be able to become like someone who can help people who have illnesses and stuff, and that's what he basically does. And there's like one scene where he's kind of bonded with like this little girl, and he actually ends up helping her. But then when he gets to a point where he actually helps himself, he kind of has all these side effects, and I kind of like how they do some of these scenes with the side effects and how he's slowly becoming Morbius, like, and I mean the Morbius where the vampire urges and all that, wanting to drink blood, that kind of thing. That was done well. It's just the problems come where it's getting to a certain point, like we're so many minutes in and we're still at the build up of everything. I was thinking like when this movie started, like, and I was 10 minutes in when we get to the point where he's holding his hand out and then the bats come, and I was thinking the transformation was happening from then, but it actually takes a bit more longer for the whole transformation throughout the movie, and I was just like, come on. I was like, I was fine with how things started off, but then it kind of goes a bit too long for the transformation and stuff. Yeah, that kind of takes a bit too long. And then what would they do with Tyrese Gibson in this movie? Him just trying to capture Morbius for the whole movie, and he's not actually that much in the story. He's more like a side character. And Tyrese Gibson having no jokes just feels weird, because that's how he is in the Fast and Furious movies. And I know he's trying to get more serious roles because with Django, if you know about that, yeah, when he tried to be Django, but instead Jamie Foxx was Django, because if you've seen those audition tapes, yeah, oh my god, I died of laughter seeing that. But yeah, so he tried to have more of a serious role in this movie, and to me, it didn't work. His character was boring, which like I said, is weird to say for Tyrese Gibson. He was just trying to capture Morbius for the whole movie, and he doesn't really achieve anything at all. Yeah, and I guess there was a time where he actually helped him heal his hand or something, because something happened to his hand because he was like in the army or something, whatever. It's just certain things where I'm just like, I don't really care, because you don't really have much input to the story, so I don't really care. But as for Matt Smith, who plays as Morbius's friend, who also had the same disease as Morbius, I guess Matt Smith is probably like the side of Morbius that I wish we kind of got a bit more of, with the actual character. I mean, not full bad, because he wasn't like that in the cartoon, but I haven't really read the comics with Morbius, so I don't know how it's exactly supposed to be, but I just liked how they did him in the animated series, and he had that girlfriend as well who was just trying to help him, but he just couldn't control how he was. He was just going out of control, and just Spider-Man had to keep stopping him and everything. But Spider-Man could tell that he was a good guy, just couldn't really control what was happening to him. Yeah, and I feel like what they did with having Matt Smith there, and then he kind of gets the same thing as Morbius, and it becomes like worse than Morbius and just kills a bunch of people, and that's the person who has to fight for the whole movie, and he also kills his girlfriend, which I kind of thought was a weird choice. Why would they kill her? That's kind of weird. Kill that character of all people? You'd think they'd keep her alive. There's like certain things they're trying to do to make it more darker, but it's just not. It doesn't make sense. To me, it didn't make sense to kill her in the first movie, at least anyway. Yeah, I don't know if that was a good idea at the end when they killed the girlfriend, because basically Matt Smith's character was just trying to get Morbius on his side and just terrorize the world together or whatever his plan was. Yeah, but didn't work out because Morbius kills him at the end because he gets mad because you hurt my Bulma, or you killed my Bulma. Yeah, and that's how that goes anyway with those friends. But yeah, Matt Smith. I say he has like the second best performance, but it kind of goes a bit too far sometimes. Yeah, I kind of get like the Mask vibes. Yeah, and what else? There's not really a lot to cover, man. That's the thing. It's just this movie kind of focuses too much on something I don't care about, and then when it finally gets to the part that I want, it kind of goes by so fast, and then back to parts that I don't care about, and then rinse and repeat, and then the movie's over. You're just like, wow. I feel like a lot of the movie's missing. Also, the vulture scenes that I saw in the trailer were actually not in the actual movie that you saw in the trailer. Yeah. And they kind of left the vulture stuff at the end credits instead of him actually being in the movie, which is kind of weird. Yeah. I don't know why they did that. Because they show Vulture getting out of jail, and there's another end credit scene where Morbius meets up with Vulture, but in his actual suit, which it was cool to see him in his suit again because we haven't seen Vulture in his suit since I guess Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming, so that was cool, and I guess they're gonna team up, but is it to take on Spider-Man or some other goal? But I guess we'll see in the sequel. And it looks like my review's kind of gone a bit over, but yeah. Just to sum it up, it had some good ideas. There was parts that actually hooked me, which I was surprised, but it quickly fell flat because of stuff I didn't really care about what they focused on. Like, it kind of took too long with him, transforming and stuff, like him going through the changes and stuff that we've seen in so many movies. Like, I'm just like, I've seen all this stuff before. Just get straight to the point, man. Like, yeah, because when we see Morbius actually using his powers, some parts are really good. Some parts is, they're kind of using a bit too much CGI. But yeah, I definitely think it could have been really good, but instead it's just decent. But then it's kind of hard to ever watch this ever again in my life because, yeah, I'd rather watch Batman again. Because even though there's some parts of Batman that are just boring, it's still a good Batman movie. And I had a Batman movie in ages, so I'm just happy it was good. As for Morbius, I was expecting even less from this movie, but I guess it was decent. I'd give it like 6 out of 10. That's the most generous I could be without going lower. Because if I was going to go lower, like 5.8, there's just some story stuff that I wish they did better, but yeah. I'll just end it here. I'll see you guys in the next one, and peace.